The desert stretched wide and silent, a golden sea of sand under the burning sun. Wind swept across the dunes, shaping and reshaping their ridges as if the land itself kept shifting. Far from the busy trade routes, a small village stood on the edge of this vast emptiness. The people lived a simple life, drawing water from deep wells and tending to their flocks. To most, the desert was only an endless place of heat and hardship, but to Aaron it was more. He often wandered farther than the others dared, always searching, always wondering what might lie hidden beneath the sands. On one such morning, with the sun still low on the horizon, Aaron set out alone. He carried only a water skin and a wooden staff, his eyes scanning the desert floor. Something had been pulling him in recent days, a strange sense that the earth was holding a secret close. He could not explain it to his family or friends. They laughed and told him he would find nothing but stones and dust. Yet he felt an urge stronger than their doubts. After hours of walking, he reached a patch of ground unlike the rest. The sand there was thinner and hard stone pushed up in uneven ridges. At first it looked like broken rock, but when Aaron brushed it clear with his hands, lines appeared. These were not natural cracks, but carvings, faint and weathered with age. His heart began to pound as he knelt and traced the marks with his fingers. The carvings formed shapes like waves of water, curling and flowing. At the center was a circle with rays spreading outward like the sun. Around it, smaller lines spiraled as if to show motion. Aaron tilted his head, trying to make sense of the pattern. He had never seen writing like this before, yet it stirred something in him, as if part of his memory recognized it, though he knew it could not. As the morning sun climbed higher, its rays struck the stone directly. A soft glow rose from the markings, not bright but enough to make Aaron draw back in surprise. It was as though the rock itself breathed with light. Then came a sound, deep and low, a hum that seemed to rise from the ground beneath him. The desert was silent, so the hum carried clearly, vibrating through his hands pressed against the slab. Aaron looked around quickly. The desert was empty, no one near. His first thought was to run back to the village, but his curiosity held him in place. He leaned closer, watching the faint glow trace along the carved lines like flowing water. The hum grew stronger for a moment, then faded, leaving only the warmth of the stone. He stood and backed away, trying to calm his racing heart. The slab was large, half-buried, and he could only see part of it. If more was hidden beneath the sand, it could be something great, perhaps a door or an entrance. His thoughts filled with stories told by the elders, tales of ancient kings who built mighty tombs filled with treasures, sealed away to guard them from thieves. They spoke of rivers of gold that flowed beneath the earth, gifts of the pharaohs. Most called them myths to entertain children, but what if there was truth in them? Aaron decided he could not leave it covered. Using his staff and hands, he began to clear the sand away. The work was slow, the sun rising higher and the heat pressing down on his back. Sweat stung his eyes, but he pushed on, driven by the strange pull in his chest. Grain by grain, more of the slab revealed itself. Symbols stretched outward, forming a greater design. He saw figures that looked like people standing beside the flowing lines, arms raised as if praising the shining circle. At one edge, his staff struck a hollow sound. He froze, then tapped again. It was not solid stone, but something beneath. Excitement surged through him as he scraped harder. Soon a crack appeared, thin but running deep across the slab. The hum returned, stronger this time, vibrating through the ground until he felt it in his bones. The earth shuddered gently, not enough to knock him down, but enough to send a thrill of fear through him. The desert was known for silence, not for shaking ground. He leapt back, staring as the carved lines glowed brighter, like streams of molten light. For a brief moment, he thought he saw the golden shimmer of liquid moving below the crack. Then as quickly as it came, the glow dimmed and the hum ceased, leaving the desert quiet once more. Aaron stood breathing hard, sweat pouring down his face, his heart racing faster than ever. He knew without doubt that he had uncovered something extraordinary. This was no ordinary stone. It was the mark of something buried deep, waiting to be revealed. He could already imagine how the others would react when he told them. Some would laugh. Others would call it dangerous, but none could deny what he had seen with his own eyes. As the wind picked up and blew fine sand across the slab, Aaron pressed his hand to it once more. The stone was warm, pulsing faintly like the heartbeat of a living thing. He whispered to himself, though no one could hear. "The Pharaoh's river," he said softly. "It flows beneath us." With that, he turned toward the village, ready to share his discovery. The desert stretched before him, endless and silent. yet behind him something vast had stirred. The sands had kept their secret for countless ages, but now the secret had chosen to rise again. When Aaron returned to the village, his voice carried an energy that caught everyone's attention. He spoke of glowing symbols, a humming sound, and the stone slab that seemed alive. At first, the elders shook their heads. They said the desert was full of tricks, that heat and light could make the eyes see things not there. But Mira, the village scholar, listened carefully. She had studied old records passed down for generations and believed that stories often carried truth hidden beneath the words. Mira asked Aaron to lead her back to the place. Others followed too, curious to see what had unsettled him. By the time they reached the stone slab, the sun was lowering in the sky, and the air had cooled to a gentler warmth. Sand still covered parts of the slab, but the carved lines Aaron had revealed remained clear. Mira knelt, brushing her fingers across the markings. Her face showed both wonder and thought. "These are not simple decorations," she said softly. "They are instructions, perhaps even warnings. Look at the way the lines curve. They are guiding us somewhere." The villagers muttered among themselves, unsure whether to fear or hope. Then before their eyes the slab trembled slightly. A faint crack widened, releasing a breath of warm air from below. The ground gave a sound like stone shifting against stone. Everyone stepped back in alarm. Mira steadied herself and looked at Aaron. "You were right. Something sleeps beneath us, and it wishes to be found." That night Mira gathered a small team of those willing to explore. Aaron stood at her side, eager despite his nerves. Along with them came Darren, a strong farmer, and Neela, a healer with steady hands. Each carried torches, ropes, and small packs of supplies. As the stars spread across the night sky, the group returned to the slab. The crack had widened further, enough to show a dark passage descending into the earth. The air rising from the opening was warm and carried the faint scent of metal. It was not the smell of dry earth or buried stone. Mira lit her torch and looked down. "If this is the path of the Pharaoh's river," she said, "then it begins here." One by one they lowered themselves into the passage. The descent was narrow at first, the walls pressing close, rough with stone and dust. Their torches flickered, casting shadows that danced like figures along the rock. The air grew thicker, humming faintly with the same vibration Aaron had felt before. Every step downward made their hearts quicken, for they felt they were walking into a place untouched for ages. At last the narrow shaft widened into a hallway carved with precision. The walls were smooth, shaped by hands skilled beyond the tools of their own time. Lines ran across the stone in patterns that glowed faintly when touched by the light of their torches. The markings reminded Aaron of flowing water, streams curving and joining into larger currents. "Look," Neela whispered, pointing at the floor. Beneath a thin layer of dust, the stone gleamed faintly as though something shone below it. When Mira brushed the surface with her hand, a ripple of golden light ran along the floor and disappeared into the distance ahead. They followed the glowing line deeper into the passage. The hum in the air grew louder, steady and rhythmic like a distant drumbeat. The walls widened into tall arches, and carvings of human-like figures appeared, their arms lifted toward flowing streams of gold. The figures looked ancient, yet their faces were clear, almost lifelike. The group moved slowly, cautious but drawn forward by the strange beauty around them. Aaron's heart raced as he realized he was no longer afraid. The silence of the desert above had turned into a living song beneath the ground. Every step felt like part of a journey meant to be taken. The passage finally opened into a vast chamber. The explorers stopped in awe. In the center ran a wide channel filled with glowing liquid that looked like molten gold. It flowed smoothly, never cooling, never hardening, casting light across the walls. The air was warm but not unbearable, carrying a soft hum that seemed to pulse with life. Darren stared with wide eyes. "It is real," he said in a hushed voice. "A river of gold beneath the desert." Mira walked closer, her eyes fixed on the glowing current. "This is no treasure of kings," she said. "This is power. A source meant to last forever." The chamber held more than the river. On both sides stood tall structures shaped like pillars but carved with intricate patterns. At the top of each, small crystals glowed, reflecting the light of the golden stream. The pillars seemed to hum in harmony with the river, as though they were part of one great design. Aaron knelt by the edge of the channel, careful not to touch the flowing gold. He could see his reflection shining back at him, his face lined with awe. The river moved with a steady rhythm, as if it were alive. He thought of the old stories told by the elders. Maybe the pharaohs had not spoken of wealth at all, but of something greater. As they stood in silence, the ground beneath them gave a gentle tremor. From the far side of the chamber came a sound of stone shifting. Shadows moved where no torchlight reached. The explorers lifted their torches higher, eyes straining. For a moment, they saw only the glowing river. Then from the walls, shapes began to stir. Stone panels slid aside and figures emerged. Tall, silent forms made of metal and stone, their eyes glowing faintly. They stepped forward slowly as if waking from a long sleep. The hum of the chamber deepened, filling the air with a weight that pressed against the hearts of the explorers. Mira whispered, "We are not alone in this place." The descent had brought them to the heart of a mystery greater than treasure. What lay before them was not only the river of gold but guardians older than memory, waiting to test those who dared to enter. The chamber was filled with silence, broken only by the steady hum of the golden river. The explorers stood frozen as the tall figures stepped out from the walls. Each one was shaped like a person but built from stone and metal, with joints that moved smoothly as though guided by unseen strength. Their eyes glowed faintly, small orbs of pale light. Aaron gripped his staff tighter, his breath quickening. Darren lifted his torch higher, trying to keep the shadows away. Neela pressed closer to Mira, her voice soft with fear. "Are they alive?" Mira's eyes narrowed as she studied the figures. "No, they are not living as we are. They are machines made long ago, but they are awake now." The figures did not rush forward. Instead, they spread out slowly, forming a line between the explorers and the far side of the chamber. Their movements were calm, almost graceful, as if they were not preparing for battle but guarding something important. One of them raised its arm. The carvings on its chest lit up in flowing lines, glowing like the river itself. A deep sound filled the chamber, not a voice but a vibration that carried meaning. The explorers did not understand the words, yet somehow they felt the question behind it. "They are asking why we are here," Mira whispered. "They are not attacking us. They are waiting for our answer." Aaron stepped forward, his staff tapping against the stone floor. His voice shook, but he forced himself to speak. "We came to learn. We found this place by chance. We mean no harm." The glowing figure tilted its head as if listening. The hum shifted, softening. The other figures lowered their arms, though they remained watchful. Mira let out a slow breath. "They will allow us to stay, but we must prove ourselves." With careful steps, the explorers crossed the chamber, moving closer to the river. The golden current shimmered like liquid sunlight, its glow reflecting on their faces. The warmth of it spread through the air, not burning but soothing, as if the river carried life within it. Aaron knelt again at the edge, unable to resist the pull of its beauty. He held his hand above it, close enough to feel the heat, but Mira caught his wrist. "Do not touch it," she warned. "We do not know what it would do." He nodded, though his eyes never left the flowing gold. "It feels alive," he said. "Like it is watching us too." Mira studied the pillars rising along the sides of the chamber. Each one hummed with a low tone that matched the rhythm of the river. Crystals at their tops glowed brighter whenever the golden current surged. "This is not natural," she said slowly. "Someone made this. This river is a machine, a creation of minds greater than ours. It is energy flowing without end." The thought sent a shiver through them all. A river that never cooled, never hardened, never ran dry. If such a thing could be controlled, it could light cities, power machines, or even change the world above. Darren frowned, his rough voice breaking the silence. "If this was built, then who built it? And why hide it beneath the desert?" Mira shook her head. "I do not know. But look at the figures carved on the walls. They are human, or close to human. Perhaps this was a gift, or perhaps a test." Neela's eyes lingered on the glowing machines that still watched them. And those guardians. They waited for someone to come. "Why us, why now?" As if answering her question, one of the machines stepped forward. It touched the floor with its hand, and the golden light spread outward in circles. Lines of energy lit up across the walls, forming patterns like maps or instructions. The explorers gathered closer, staring at the designs. Aaron pointed at one of the glowing lines. It showed streams flowing into shapes of towers, then spreading outward like rays of light. "This is a plan," he said slowly. "It shows how the river can be used." Mira's eyes shone with excitement. "Yes, these are not just decorations. They are guides. If we can learn to read them, We may understand how this place was built and what it is meant to do. But as the light patterns continued to shift, another image appeared. It showed figures reaching for the river, their hands glowing as they tried to take from it. Then the drawings changed, showing the same figures falling, the river withdrawing from them. The meaning was clear. Neela whispered the warning aloud. Those who take selfishly will be cast down. The explorers fell into silence. The chamber no longer felt only like a wonder but also a judgment. This river of gold was not simply treasure to be claimed. It was something greater, something that demanded respect. Aaron felt his chest tighten with both fear and hope. The old story spoke of pharaohs who ruled with power beyond measure, but maybe those kings had only touched a piece of this mystery, not the river itself. Now here it was before him, not a tale, not a dream, but real and endless. The machines stepped back again, their glowing eyes dimming slightly as though waiting. The river flowed on, calm and eternal. The explorers understood that their journey had only begun. This place was not simply about finding what lay hidden. It was about proving themselves worthy of it. Aaron looked across the golden current toward the far side of the chamber, where another passage stretched into the dark. He felt the pull again, stronger than ever. Whatever secrets lay beyond, the river itself seemed to invite them forward. We cannot stop here, he said quietly. The river is guiding us. Mira nodded, her gaze firm. Then we follow it. But we must remember this is not treasure to claim. It is a path to walk. With torches held high, the group prepared to cross deeper into the unknown. The hum of the river followed them, steady and eternal, as though promising wonders yet to come. The explorers stood at the edge of the golden river, their torches flickering in the vast chamber. Behind them, the tall machines remained still, glowing eyes watching but not attacking. Ahead, another passage stretched into darkness. The air hummed with the same steady rhythm as before, carrying a weight that made every step feel important. Mira looked at her companions. We cannot turn back now. The river and the machines are showing us a path. We must see where it leads. Aaron nodded, though his palms were damp with sweat. He still felt the strange pull inside him, as though the river itself whispered in silence, urging him onward. Darren tightened his grip on his torch, his strong shoulders tense but ready. Neela whispered a quiet prayer for safety, her eyes steady despite the fear she carried. They crossed the chamber carefully, their steps echoing against the stone floor. The golden current glowed beside them, flowing without end, its light reflecting on the high arches above. When they reached the far side, the machine stirred. Two of them stepped forward, blocking the entrance to the dark passage. Aaron froze. His first thought was that the machines would not let them through. But instead of lifting weapons or striking, the guardians moved their arms in smooth patterns, drawing shapes in the air. Lines of light appeared, hanging like threads between them. The shapes formed into puzzles, patterns broken into pieces, paths that needed to be completed, symbols that had to be matched. Mira's eyes widened. They are not asking us to fight. They are asking us to solve. The first puzzle appeared as a glowing circle split into fragments. Some pieces were missing while others floated nearby. Aaron stepped closer, drawn to it. Without thinking, he reached out. To his surprise, his hand passed through the light and the pieces shifted at his touch. Carefully, he moved them into place. The fragments clicked together until the circle shone whole again. The machines lowered their heads slightly as if in approval. The entrance remained blocked, but the puzzles continued. The second trial appeared, lines like rivers branching into many streams. Some ended in dead ends, while one true path led to the heart of the design. Mira studied it, tracing her finger along the glowing threads. She closed her eyes for a moment, then drew the correct path with calm precision. The lines brightened and the puzzle vanished. Neela stepped forward for the third challenge. This time, the light formed images of figures reaching toward the golden river. Some figures fell, others stood tall. The meaning was harder to read. Neela's healer's mind focused not on strength but on balance. She touched the figures who stood with open hands, not taking, but giving. The light responded, glowing warmly, and the image faded. The guardian stepped aside slightly, but not fully. A final puzzle appeared, larger than the rest. It was a map of the chamber itself with the golden river flowing through it. At first it seemed simple, but as the explorers studied it, they saw that parts of the river were blocked by lines of shadow. Darren stepped forward, though he was not a scholar. He had spent his life working with the land, finding ways to guide water for crops and fields. He stared at the map, then began moving pieces of the glowing river. clearing the shadows carefully until the current flowed free. The entire map lit up with golden light, filling the chamber with brightness. The machines let out a deep, resonant hum, like a chorus of approval. They stepped back in unison, leaving the passage open. The explorers looked at one another, hearts racing with both relief and wonder. Mira spoke softly, her voice carrying across the glowing chamber. These puzzles were not about skill alone. They were about who we are. Each of us used what we knew best. Aaron's curiosity, my study, Neela's care, Darren's strength. The machines wanted to see our nature, not just our minds. Aaron swallowed hard, glancing back at the Guardians. Their glowing eyes were calm now, their bodies still. It means they were waiting for people like us. Not to steal, not to destroy, but to prove that we can walk this path. The group moved toward the passage, their torches lighting the first steps into the unknown. As they did, one of the machines raised its hand again. A symbol glowed on the wall above the entrance, a circle with flowing lines radiating outward. It pulsed once, then faded as if blessing their journey. The new passage sloped downward, leading them deeper beneath the earth. The hum of the river followed, softer now but still steady, like the heartbeat of the world itself. The air grew warmer and faint light glimmered along the walls, guiding their steps even without their torches. They walked in silence, each lost in thought. The Guardians had not fought them. They had tested them. That truth carried both comfort and unease. If this place was built to test, then more trials surely waited ahead. Aaron touched the wall as he walked, feeling the faint warmth beneath the stone. He remembered the old tales told by the elders, of pharaohs who ruled with wisdom and might. Perhaps those kings had been tested too, long before their time. Perhaps the true treasure of the river was never gold, but the lessons hidden within it. The passage widened again, and the sound of rushing grew louder. Ahead they saw another glow, brighter and stronger than before. The group quickened their pace, eager yet cautious. They had passed the Guardians, but the journey was far from over. Mira raised her torch high, her voice calm but firm. Whatever lies ahead, we must face it as we did before, together, the others nodded. Their footsteps echoed down the stone path, carrying them toward the next mystery. The golden light ahead flickered like a promise, waiting for those who had proven themselves worthy to step closer. The explorers followed the sloping passage, their torches casting flickering shadows against the carved stone walls. The hum of the golden river still lingered in the air, though softer now, like a distant echo guiding them deeper. None spoke for a long time, each holding their thoughts close, wondering what new test might wait ahead. At last the passage opened into another great hall, larger than the chamber of the river. The explorers halted, awe filling their eyes. The ceiling rose high above them, carved into smooth arches. Along the walls, glowing lines spread outward like branches of a great tree. At the center of the hall stood a towering pillar, wrapped in spirals of golden light that flowed upward like liquid fire. Mira stepped forward slowly, her voice barely above a whisper. This is not the work of kings. This is something greater, something older. Aaron moved beside her, his heart racing. The pillar pulsed with light, steady and alive, as if it were breathing. Strange symbols ran along its surface, shifting gently like words waiting to be read. What is it saying? Neela asked, her eyes wide. Mira narrowed her gaze. Let me see. She placed her hand on the pillar. The moment her skin touched the glowing surface, the lines brightened. Shapes began to form in the air above the pillar, glowing images that told a story without sound. The explorers gathered close, watching as the first images appeared. They saw figures descending from the sky, their forms tall and graceful. These were not humans, though their shapes were similar. They carried tools of light and built vast structures across the land. The images showed them teaching early humans, guiding their hands to carve stone and shape metal. Then came the golden river flowing through the earth like a gift. Aaron's mouth fell open. They were not kings. They were visitors. Mira nodded slowly, her face lit by the glowing story. Yes, visitors from the stars. They came here long ago, bringing knowledge and power. This river was their creation. They left it for us. The images shifted again. The star visitors stood beside humans, sharing tools, guiding crops, lifting stones for great temples. Together they worked as one. But then the story darkened. The humans reached for the golden river greedily, trying to take it all. Some built weapons, others sought to rule over their own people with its power. The visitors watched in sorrow. The river was sealed away. The star visitors placed guardians to watch over it. They hid the entrance beneath sand and stone, leaving behind puzzles and trials for those who might come later. The last image showed the visitors rising back into the sky, leaving humans to find their own path. The glowing story faded, leaving the hall in silence once more. The explorers stood motionless, the weight of the truth heavy on their hearts. Neela spoke first, her voice soft. So the old tales were not lies. The pharaohs did not create the river. It was given to them and they lost it when they misused it. Darren frowned, his rough hands tightening on his torch. And now we have found it again. But why us? Why now? Mira lowered her hand from the pillar, her face calm but thoughtful. Because we are ready. The visitors sealed this place with puzzles to test the heart, not just the mind. We passed those tests not because we are strongest, but because we work together. That was the lesson they wanted us to learn. Aaron's eyes shone with wonder as he looked at the pillar. They trusted us to return one day. They wanted us to choose wisely when the river was found again. The group fell silent, each one thinking of what this meant. Above them, the desert was dry and harsh. Villages struggled with water and food. Kingdoms fought for land and wealth. The golden river could change everything. It could bring life where there was none, light where there was darkness. But the warning was clear. If used for greed, it would destroy as much as it gave. As if hearing their thoughts, the pillar flared once more. A final image appeared in the air, humans standing tall holding torches of light. Behind them, cities shone with golden fire, not as weapons but as beacons of hope. The message was simple. This was the future that could be, if humanity chose to rise above its hunger for power. Mira stepped back, her voice steady now. This is the truth we were meant to find. The river is not treasure. It is a gift of trust. If we take it with selfish hands, it will turn against us. But if we use it with wisdom, it will guide us to a new age. Aaron looked at her, his heart full of both fear and hope. Then we must protect it. We cannot let it fall into the wrong hands. The river is meant for all, not for one. The explorers turned their eyes to the glowing pillar, each feeling the weight of the choice before them. The truth had been revealed, and with it came a responsibility greater than any treasure. The star visitors had left their gift long ago, believing that one day humans would rise to claim it with wisdom. Now that day had come. Mira raised her torch high, her voice firm with resolve. We will guard this place and we will learn. The truth is no longer buried. It lives in us now. We will not fail the trust that was given. The golden pillar pulsed warmly, as if acknowledging her words. The explorers stood together in the glow, no longer just seekers of treasure but keepers of a legacy written in the stars. The explorers left the glowing pillar behind, stepping carefully into the next passage. The golden river flowed beside them, calmer now, like it recognized their understanding of its purpose. The air was warm and filled with a quiet energy, humming softly as they walked. Their steps echoed off the stone walls, but the sound felt less heavy than before, lighter, as if the place was responding to them. Mira led the way, her eyes scanning the carvings along the walls. Each panel seemed to tell a story of creation, showing humans working alongside the star visitors. Tools, machines, and structures rose from the images, each connected by glowing lines that pulsed like veins of energy. This place is a map, she said softly. It shows how to use the river wisely, but it is not simple. It requires understanding and care. Aaron's eyes were drawn to a narrow section of the river, where golden liquid flowed into a channel partially blocked by debris. The flow was uneven and the light flickered. We should fix it, he said. The river is meant to flow fully, not stop here. Darren frowned. We cannot just move it with our hands. It is too strong. Aaron studied the channel carefully. No, but maybe we can guide it like water through an irrigation path. The river responds to thought and care, not force. Mira nodded. Try, but remember this is not treasure. Treat it with respect. Aaron stepped closer and used his staff to lift small stones blocking the flow. He dug channels in the sand along the edge, shaping the path with careful hands. As he worked, the golden river pulsed in response, flowing smoother and brighter. Light spread along the walls and reflected off the ceiling, filling the chamber with warmth. The other explorers watched in awe. It listens to you, Neela whispered. It responds to thought and care, not strength. Darren knelt to help, using his experience with fields and irrigation. He adjusted small channels and guided the flow with precision. Each movement was careful, intentional, and respectful. Slowly, the block section opened completely, and the golden liquid flowed freely again. The hum of the river deepened, like a satisfied sigh. Mira studied the energy around them. The star visitors designed it to work with human creativity. It is not meant to be forced. Only those who think and care can unlock its full power. Aaron looked around. He saw patterns in the walls, the river, and the glowing pillars. They were interconnected. The flow of gold was not just energy. It was knowledge. It responded to human ingenuity, intuition, and balance. Neela stepped forward, placing her hand near the river. She closed her eyes and focused. The golden current bent slightly toward her, moving with gentle precision. She smiled. It wants us to think together. Not just one of us, but all of us. The explorers continued through the chamber, each contributing in their own way. Aran guided the flow. Mira interpreted the glowing patterns. Darren shaped channels with skill, and Neela sensed the river's rhythm, showing the safest paths. The river became brighter with every step, as though it was alive and learning alongside them. At the end of the chamber, a large platform rose from the floor, partially covered in golden light. The glowing river flowed into it, and a series of levers, pulleys, and panels shimmered with energy. Mira approached carefully, examining the devices. "This is a machine," she said. "It is meant to control and spread the river's energy, but it requires understanding. If we act foolishly, it will shut down." Aaron stepped forward. "We know the river now. We know it responds to care and thought. Let us try." Together they studied the machine. Mira guided their actions, interpreting the glowing symbols and teaching the others how to manipulate the panels. Aaron used his hands to shift small levers. Darren moved the pulleys to redirect the energy. And Neela focused on the rhythm of the river, sensing when it needed more or less guidance. The machine came alive slowly, not with a violent surge but with a graceful motion. Golden energy spread across the chamber, following channels, filling structures, and lighting pathways. The explorers stood in silence, watching their combined effort unlock a flow that had been hidden for centuries. Mira spoke softly. "This is what the star visitors meant. Not force, not greed, but care, understanding, and cooperation. Human hands, guided by thought, can shape even the greatest power." Aaron smiled. "We are learning to be worthy. This river is not a gift to take. It is a path to walk. It grows with us." The glowing river flowed brighter than ever, and the machines along the wall stirred slightly, nodding as if in approval. The chamber filled with a golden warmth that was neither hot nor dangerous. It was a sign of trust, a promise that humanity could rise to meet the challenge if they chose to. Darren clapped Aaron on the shoulder, a rare smile breaking his serious face. "We did it, together." Neela touched Mira's arm gently. "We have to remember this lesson. We are caretakers now, not owners," Mira nodded. "And this is only the beginning. The river will show us more, but we must always act with thought, care, and cooperation. That is the way of human ingenuity." The explorers stood in the golden glow, understanding that their journey was more than discovery. It was a test of character, of trust, and of human creativity. The star visitors had left the river as a challenge and a gift, and humanity had finally begun to prove itself worthy. The passage ahead was brighter now, lit by the golden river and the machines that had awakened with their ingenuity. The explorers took their first steps forward, ready to face the final trials and unlock the full potential of the Pharaoh's river. The explorers moved forward through the glowing passage, their torches reflecting off the golden river that flowed endlessly beside them. The chamber ahead opened into a vast hall, larger than any they had seen before. The ceiling arched high above, and walls were covered with carvings of humans and star visitors working together. The golden light filled every corner, casting a warmth that felt alive, almost breathing. Aaron stepped forward, feeling a sense of awe he had never experienced. "It is more beautiful than I imagined," he whispered. "Like the river is part of the world itself." Mira nodded, her eyes scanning the carvings. "This hall shows the full purpose of the river. It was never just treasure. It is knowledge, power, and trust. It is a gift for those who can understand it and use it wisely." Darren walked slowly along the edge of the golden river, his torch casting long shadows. The river is endless. Its energy could light cities, grow crops, even power machines far above the desert. But it must be used with care. Neela bent down, running her fingers just above the glowing liquid. "It feels alive, like it knows who we are. It is guiding us, not forcing us." The explorers moved deeper into the hall and came upon a platform at its center. It was large, carved with intricate designs and lined with glowing crystals. The golden river flowed through channels in the platform, connecting every crystal. Each crystal pulsed with energy as the river passed through, lighting the room with soft golden warmth. Mira knelt beside the platform, examining the carvings. The star visitors left this as a test and a lesson. Those who follow the path with wisdom and care can unlock its power. Those who are greedy or careless will fail. Aaron stepped closer, studying the channels of gold. We have passed the guardians, solved the puzzles, and guided the flow. The river has responded to us. I think it is ready to show us what it can do. Mira placed her hand on one of the glowing crystals. The energy spread through the platform, lighting every channel. The golden river flowed faster and brighter, its hum stronger, filling the hall with a vibrant rhythm. The explorers felt the energy in their bodies, a warm, gentle force that inspired clarity and focus. Darren smiled. It is like the river is alive. It grows with us, responds to us, and waits for our next step. The carvings on the walls began to glow softly. Figures of humans and star visitors moved in light, showing scenes of cities powered by the river, farms flourishing in deserts, and machines working in harmony with people. Aaron's eyes widened. This is the future the visitors hoped for. They believed we could rise to this. Neela looked at the glowing platform. The river is not just power. It is guidance. It will help humans learn, grow, and work together. Mira stood, her eyes shining with determination. We must protect this. The Pharaoh's river is a treasure, but not in the way we imagined. Its true value is in what it teaches us. Wisdom, patience, and cooperation. Aaron nodded. We cannot take it for ourselves. We must share it carefully, help others learn without letting greed destroy it. As they spoke, the machines along the walls stirred slightly, their glowing eyes moving across the room. They stepped back, leaving the explorers free, as if recognizing that the humans had proven their worth. The golden river flowed steadily, its hum steady and comforting. The explorers looked at one another, realizing that their journey had changed them. They were no longer just seekers of treasure. They were guardians, teachers, and students all at once. The river had revealed the truth of humanity's potential. Strength not in force, but in understanding and unity. Mira spoke softly. The Pharaoh's river has waited for us for centuries. Now it is ours to guide, not control. The knowledge it carries is greater than gold. We must be wise enough to use it for the good of all. Aaron smiled, feeling hope swell in his chest. We have discovered the river. We have learned its lessons. And now we will take that knowledge back to the world above to help others grow. Darren added, This is more than treasure. It is a gift for everyone if we choose to protect it and use it wisely. Neela touched the golden river gently. The river has chosen us not for power but for responsibility. That is its true lesson. The explorers spent the next hours walking along the river, learning its ways and understanding its flow. They traced its channels, studied its patterns, and realized that every movement, every pulse was a message. The star visitors had left not just energy but guidance, an inheritance meant to awaken humanity's greatest potential. As the sun rose far above the desert, the explorers prepared to leave the underground chambers. The golden river continued to flow endlessly, a secret of the earth waiting for those with wisdom to follow its path. They knew they would return often, not for treasure, but to learn, teach, and protect. Aaron looked back one last time. The mysteries are not gone. They are here, alive beneath the sand, waiting for the world to grow into them. Mira placed her hand on his shoulder. And now we will help it. The Pharaoh's river will guide humanity, not just in wealth, but in wisdom and hope. That is the true power we have unearthed. Together, the explorers walked back through the passage, leaving the chamber glowing with golden light. Above them, the desert was the same as ever, silent and vast, but they knew the world had changed. Beneath their feet, the river flowed, carrying secrets, lessons, and hope for the future. Humanity had uncovered the mysteries, and with care and ingenuity, it could rise to heights long imagined by the visitors of the stars. The Pharaoh's river had waited for centuries. Now it was time for humanity to rise,